Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new edition of our online interview series. We want to talk to Osisko Metals, and Robert Wares, the CEO, is here with us. Good morning to Canada. How are you, Rob?
Good morning. Doing very well. Yourself, Jochen?
I'm doing extremely well. Thank you very much. Because I'm a shareholder of your company, I knew it already, always. And I must say, you had a run of 40% with the stock in the last week or so. And yeah, this is outstanding. Finally, shareholders and people of investors are really waking up because you did a deal with Glencore, Canada, for a copper mine. So can you please give us some insight into that?
Yeah, certainly. So this is a deal actually that was 8 months in the works. We became aware that Glencore was looking for a partner to rekindle a Gaspé copper. This was a long-term copper producer in Eastern Canada for over 40 years actually. And I had the opportunity to work there as a geologist back in the 90s. This is where, in fact, I met Jeff Hussey, our president and COO, who was mine geologist at the time. So basically, it was a very good producer owned by Noranda at the time. It shut down in 99. And again, what I had to explain to the local community recently, the mayor of Murdochville, is that when a mine closes, it doesn't mean that there's no metal left in the ground. Sometimes it's the case. But more often than not, there's residual resources. They're just not economic at the time. So when Gaspé shut down, copper was less than $1. And today, of course, we're enjoying $4.60, just north of $4.60 a pound US. So that makes, even with inflation, that makes a big difference to the value of residual resources. And I want to emphasize that in inflation-adjusted dollars, both copper and zinc right now are all-time highs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
we have a big shortage, right? In this
world. Exactly. So the deficits are already manifesting themselves in the market. This is not a flash in the pan, in my opinion. This is basically a start of a super cycle in base metals. And keep in mind that the industry has been neglected now for the better part of 2 decades by capital markets. And this rise in commodity prices is still not reflected in equities. So we have a long way to go. I think the market's going to come back in general into resources and specifically metal equities. And everything surrounding electrification of our economy is going to be positively impacted. So it's a good time to look at brownfield sites that still have significant resources. And this is what we did with this opportunity. And next week, we hope to be able to announce our maiden resource on Gaspé copper. We're entirely focused right now on open pit. This was originally an open pit combined underground operation. The porphyry copper portion was mined open pit, of course. And the underground skarn and massive sulfides were mined by a very extensive underground network. At the time, it was actually a room and pillar operation. It was the biggest in Canada. So going back to that, we're completely ignoring right now what we know of the underground resource that is down the road. We want to make a go of this project with a revived, enlarged open pit operation.
And how will this be financed? What do you have to pay? I saw by 30th June, then you have to decide if you take the option, but you have to do 5 million Canadian dollars in drilling costs.
Yes.
So can you do that fast? Do you have the money in the bank?
We're lining that up. It's going to be a rapid flow through financing. But of course, we want to price it after we announce the resource next week. We still have, we have the money right now. We've started the drilling. We're going to announce, I think, tomorrow, the start of the drill program. The crew's on site, removing a lot of snow. There's 4 or 5 meters, 3-4 meters of snow up there still in the mountains. People don't realize the Gaspé Peninsula is actually fairly mountainous. So we've been setting up shop, resetting up the core shack, bringing in the drills. And if all goes well, yeah, I expect to be drilling by Friday, maiden hole. And so our resource is going to be based on historical drilling as late as 2019, executed by Glencore. And of course, the purpose of our program right now will be to better model the resource, especially with respect to the oxide layer that's still there, and assure ourselves by June 30th that our resource is real and the numbers have been validated. On June 30th, we sent our intent to acquire, and then we have till September 30th to close the transaction, which means file documentation, negotiating the offtake agreement with Glencore, because they do retain 100% offtake, of course, it's on the resource.
Yeah.
And execute the payment, which is going to be issued as a convertible note in shares to Glencore. So naturally, Glencore is going to become a partner in this venture.
And so there will be a big shareholder then of Osisko Metals.
Yes.
Yeah. What interest would they then have after that deal with the convertible note? Approximately.
Without the warrants, it'll be about 28%.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So and that's fine. This is the whole concept behind this structure was to set up a partnership with Glencore. They have a lot of dormant assets in Canada. And I'm very much looking forward, actually, to looking at the other assets to see what other opportunities could present themselves to our group. And so, as far as I'm concerned, this is the start of a long-term relationship and partnership with Glencore that could be very fruitful for Osisko shareholders.
Absolutely. I mean, you have then copper, which will be soon in production again, hopefully. When do you think you can start production at Gaspé?
Well, we've got 5 years to basically get to 4 years to get to FID. So basically shovel ready. And then you have to give yourself a year and a half for construction. So it's 5 to 6 years down the road.
Okay, super. So you have zinc and copper, or shall I say copper and zinc. Let's move to your Pine Point project, which I think is an exceptional zinc project, definitely. So, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you are also here really in the workings of feasibility study and stuff like this. So what is the status there? You brought out on 21st March some very good drill results again.
Yeah.
And so what's going on with Pine Point, and wouldn't be Glencore also maybe somebody who could help?
Well, obviously, Pine Point, as we've said many times, is going to produce an exceptionally pure zinc concentrate. So obviously, to any base metal trader, this is of interest. So the other advantage of this partnership, of course, is it will give Glencore exposure to this project. So right now, we're hoping to release the final hydrogeological reports next week. And the PEA has been delayed because it's taken a longer time to integrate that data into a new mine plan. So we anticipate right now updating the PEA by mid-May.
Okay, super.
So the drill program is going to shut down soon for a spring breakup, and then restart in June. And it'll be steady as she goes. So for those, of course, shareholders are wondering now, it's Pine Point or Gaspé Copper. It's neither either or. We're going to keep advancing both projects in parallel. And of course, the first one that gets permitted is the first one that gets built. That's about all I can say, right? So,
yeah, definitely. But I mean, with Glencore as a partner, I mean, that shouldn't be then a big issue to get that financed, right?
No, it's not just
one or the other.
Yeah. Actually, it's actually interesting with all the Zoom calls we've done during COVID times. It become very apparent. It's I swear it's going to be easier to get mine financing, debt financing, than it is to get equity. There's so much debt financing available for mining projects out there, from sovereign funds, private equities, family offices, you name it. There's a lot of money available for those ventures. And now with base metals picking up, I see no problems at all getting mine financing.
Definitely, super. Maybe one last word on copper and zinc on the metals itself. I mean, copper, there was just published like there's only like 200,000 tons left, 3 days of world consumption. And what does the zinc market look like? I think it's almost the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I've become a bit, if you look at London Exchange, when you look at you do try to get a long-term correlation between price and inventory. The truth is that there's absolutely no correlation whatsoever if you plot it up over the last 10, 15 years. So the pricing is a lot more sensitive now to trading and speculation than it is to fundamentals such as inventory. So yes, the inventories are low. They're certainly not about to go back to what they used to be. But more importantly now, there's a lot more interest in the trading of the metals, more liquidity. And the fact of the matter is that the global supply of base metals is slowly drying up, and the markets are only now becoming aware of this. So once again, I expect with some fluctuation, I expect the current prices to be sustained over the long term. And which creates the need we need new mines. That's the only way to
Definitely
meet that kind of demand, and it's not going to be done by recycling, not even close.
No, that might be a little part of it, but definitely it cannot fill it up, the gap, right?
Yeah. The recent reports from SNL and Benchmark Intelligence predict that between now and 2030, when Europe and some parts of North America want to shut down sales of conventional gasoline engines, we have to increase our base metal production, nominally copper and zinc, by 30%. That's huge.
That's super huge, yeah.
I mean, it takes an average 12 years to put a mine into production on the planet right now. 12 years. Yeah. And so there's absolutely 2030 is 8 years away.
That's nothing.
There's absolutely no way we can meet that kind of demand. So the governments, it's very easy for politicians to issue objectives and orders, but it's completely unrealistic. There's 10 times more copper in an electric vehicle than there is in a conventional vehicle. So it's just not going to happen. I think decarbonation has to take place, of course, but it's going to have to be spread over a longer time frame, because the mining industry will not be able to respond to that kind of demand.
Yeah, definitely. Super. Robert, thank you very much for the update. That was fantastic. And I think smart move what you have done, especially to put Glencore also on board. I think that's also a very smart move. But now zinc and copper in Canada. Fantastic. Congratulations on that.
All right. Super. Thank you very much, and stay tuned.
Definitely. Thank you very much. We look forward to your news, and also to the resource estimate, and several things in addition are going on. Take care. Thank you very much, Robert. All the best. We talk soon.
Very good.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Robert Wers, the CEO of Osisko Metals, and you heard it. The company has entered into an option agreement by 30th June to buy the Gaspé copper project, and from Glencore is also involved. They will be then the largest shareholder probably with Osisko Metals through a convertible note for 28%. The company is getting all the money they need. So Osisko is on a fantastic path, and they have now zinc and copper, and both metals are in super high demand. They are in a deficit. I think it's a right market and place to be. And finally, Osisko Metal shares are already up 40%. But to be honest, I think Osisko Metal should be trading closer to $1 or $1.50 and not the 58 cents. So I'm a shareholder of the company. I see it extremely positive, and we look forward to keep you updated. Maybe a good idea now to have a look onto Osisko Metals. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Austria today.